is out there. He's got a special on Comedy Central I'm very excited about. But we met on my first real job ever.
Oh, yeah.
Was it Keenan or was it?
Keenan was first.
Keenan was first.
Yeah.
Keenan, Ivory Wade's talk show. And then...
And I saw Keenan last week, as a matter of fact.
Tell me. I just saw his ex-wife.
Oh, you did?
Wait, tell me your story first. Wait, let me just really quickly. Okay, then Ian, then we worked on Lyricist Lounge, and we were office mates, and so many funny things, and just the nicest. And then I remember I called you, and you helped me when I was getting back into stand-up, and I tried out for Last Comic Standing, and I called you crying after the audition because Ant accused me of stealing his crystal meth joke. And you're like... Girl, he's like, why did you even do that? Why did you bother to do that? I go, I don't know. And then we follow each other, but I have not seen you in person, and I don't know how long.
Probably over 10 years.
When I knew you, you had dreads hanging on for their dear life. Remember that?
Yeah. How could I forget? They were my dreads that were barely in my head.
Now you have a nice, clean, shaven head. Mm-hmm. You're fit, as
always. I knew you before you were married to Peter, when you met Peter, and now Peter's like right over there.
Right.
Can you believe it?
Yeah,
that we're now aren't you impressed that we've been married for 19 years?
Yeah, how are you not? How are you not impressed by that?
I know.
Are you impressed that you've been married for 19 years?
Yes, I honestly feel like I deserve a medal. Like I really do. I'm like, why are people not more excited about the fact that we've been married this long?
Are you saying you deserve a medal because Peter's that difficult, or because compared to other marriages?
I think compared to other marriages where people get out, they get out, they get a new husband, have a new life, and I'm just like sticking with this one. I do believe that Jesus will reward me on the other side. At this point, we're just like, we've made it this long.
Right.
And now, there was a little time in my life, like maybe 7 years ago, that when it was really the height of my friends getting divorced, just past 40, like your kids are older, you're feeling yourself, you're like, I think I can do better, so people start to cheat, and I missed that window.
You missed that window.
I missed that window, and now I'm like, fuck it. It's fine.
And that's the part of, I guess, a marriage or a relationship, you got to get past that window when you can get out, and if you don't get out, then there's no option but to stay in.
Yeah, right? Now it's like, what am I going to get, like a Dirty John, like some weird guy on Our Time? Like, no, fuck it. Like, and any man at this point that I'd meet, like my friends, they're all broken human beings. They're all, and I don't want to be discouraging to my listeners, but it's hard, so if you have one that's somewhat trained, and you still enjoy them enough,
right,
as they try to make it work.
All right. I feel like this is working, so
let me plug in my thing just so we have a cuter background for
this is such a girly computer. Jeez.
Don't be so.
I'm just saying.
Tell me about.
Red.
Tell me about. Wait, hold on. What's your love life like? You have a girlfriend, I see.
No, that we were dating, but not a girlfriend.
Wait, the blonde that went to Hawaii with you?
Yeah. That was just the second date.
Oh my God, I thought you guys were going to spend the rest of your life together, the way I was looking at it.
I mean, we were having fun, and she's a great person. But, I'm an adult, and if it's not going to work out, I'm not going to push it anymore. You know what I mean?
So, Ian, you've never been married?
No.
Have you ever...
I've been divorced twice, though.
What?
I like to skip skip to the good part.
You mean you had long-term live-in relationships, but you never got married?
Nah, I never lived with a woman.
You never lived with a woman?
Nah, just dated.
Was I the closest thing to living with a woman?
Yes, yeah. You
for those few months of sharing an office.
And I was like, never again. Is this how it is? You remember what's his name was in the office with us? Or was he in the office with us?
The little intern?
No, at Lyricist Lounge.
Yes.
The guy that wrote the face cock sketch.
The Harvard.
The Harvard guy.
He was a Harvard he was one of those Harvard Lampoon guys.
He's a goddamn computer. Because remember we'd be struggling to write sketches?
Yeah.
And the motherfucker be in the car.
Yeah.
Just cranking the sketches out.
Yeah, and
look at each other like.
Yeah.
He's
And you'd be like, slow it down. Even if you heard me go a little faster, like, slow it down. Slow it down.
Yeah, stop trying to make me feel bad.
Right, exactly. Okay, so you ran into Keenan Everways. Where?
No, I went to meet with him
Ooh.
because he's going to be running Tracy Morgan's show now.
Oh, my God.
The,
What's Tracy Morgan's show about?
it's, damn, why am I? Oh, The Last OG.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
been on already.
That's
One
been on
season.
already.
Oh, so now
2
he's coming
seasons,
in?
so he's going to do the third. He's going to be the showrunner.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I went to meet with him.
And you think you'll write on that?
We'll see.
didn't you go
I just did the special, so I kind of want to push that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and just maybe.
And be on the road. So I'm going to
Yes.
take the chance of losing some money to, at least at the end, like.
Well, let me tell
make
you,
a
you're
bigger-
on Juicy Scoop now.
Oh, shit.
And this is going to change your life.
All right.
Okay, let me tell you about my audience. They are an awesome, smart, funny audience, but a lot of them are not big comedy goers, but once they hear someone on my show, then they're like, go make sure they see them.
dope.
And like, so now I'm like introducing them to a lot of
I'm
comedians.
glad I drove in the 2 hours of traffic to
That's,
get here.
I was going to tell you, it's going to be worth it. It's going to be worth it. Okay, so, oh, well, that's exciting. Okay, well, I ran into his ex-wife,
Oh, yeah.
Daphne, at Burke Williams,
Oh, word.
and just hanging
What
out.
is she doing?
Well, she had a cute boyfriend there.
Oh, snap.
It was Father's Day, and they were hanging out, getting massages. And I think it was Father's Day. Yeah, I think it was. And you were out of town, so I went and used a gift certificate for my birthday and went. And she looks great. And then I said to her, I go, I just remember writing White Chicks because I wrote White Chicks and would go to their house all the time to work on that.
Right.
And I would always be there early on time. Then everybody was like an hour late. And I'd make the mistake of not eating. And then Keenan would have this, like, you know, a bunch of squash and like pumpkin seeds and stuff to eat. And I would just be starving. And like one time
So
I just.
what, did you eat meat and stuff?
I would eat anything, but
Okay.
they didn't. I mean, it wasn't. Even though it was someone's house, they didn't have to feed me. But
Right.
I kept. I really should have brought my own food.
Right.
But like now, I'm like it's
Everybody
going.
was late because they stopped to get food before they
Yes.
got to his house. You're getting up on time, getting there hungry.
Anyway, Daphne, I finally just went in there and I'm like, I gotta eat something.
Uh-huh.
And she made me some spaghetti squash.
Oh, dope.
And she's like, wow, you have a really great memory. I'm like, well, I mean, you were like the nicest person in the room. I was starving. You finally got to eat something.
You always remember the person who saved your life. You know what I'm saying? Saved you from passing out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then she goes, oh, glad you remember that. And so how is Keenan? Does he look as gorgeous as ever?
Yeah, he just has gray in his beard, but it's the same physique, same type of skin. Just looks young.
They're just ageless.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, you do look a little older.
Thank you. I've been trying to get older, so you know what I mean? I'm glad I'm achieving it. You know what I'm saying?
So I love the trailer for your special.
Oh, thank
How
you.
it's done like a TED Talk.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how did that idea come about? That is very funny.
Because there's so many specials.
Yes.
The market is saturated.
Right.
I think I'm a good comedian,
Yes.
but I think I still needed to add another layer to make it make people want to see it more on top of the good material.
Right.
And I think about how comics always analyze and break down topics anyway.
Yes.
So it's almost like a TED Talk when you see certain comics. So why not? And I'm never going to get a TED Talk. So why not just give myself one?
Do you know there's a
Present my
level? There's a
material.
level of TED Talk, like a TED Talk X.
I wouldn't even get an X.
But that's where you could just purchase it.
Yeah.
Like that's where you're just like, I'm gonna do TED Talks X. That's what I've heard. But anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So was it weird to do your special without holding a mic?
Yeah.
Did you have to do it a few times to get used to it
I had
before
no
you filmed
practice. Just
it? You didn't even
winged
do it once in your hotel room, like
No.
with your hands?
I did it. Let me see. I did it at 2 clubs,
Uh-huh.
and then I did it at All Things Comedy in their space,
Yeah.
and then I did it at home, and then the day before the show, I did it once or twice,
that's a
and then
decent
the day I did
I
it.
think it's a decent amount of
Yeah.
practice. Because it was like you knew your routine, you just had to get used to not holding that mic.
Right, and then where we inserted the pictures, and then the thing was on a timer,
Oh,
and, then,
okay.
and you couldn't. sometimes you click, you have to remember to pause.
Oh, you have you have that element of the show too.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is it up now, or can I see it now?
It's going to come on July 12th.
Oh, okay, July 12th.
On
Perfect.
Comedy Central at midnight, which is July 13th.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill Burr is the producer of it.
Mm-hmm.
So is he doing a bunch for people, or are you? And were you his first love?
I'm his second love.
Okay.
Yeah, because he did one with Paul Versey,
Okay.
then me, and Jessica Kirson.
Okay.
And then he has this other thing where it's going to come out in December, where it's kind of like Premium Blend, and he's the host, and he produced it for Comedy Central also. There's going to be a bunch of like new comics on it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Great. Everybody's giving new comics a chance.
Right, I know.
Which sucks for the old comics.
I know. Well,
really does.
I got the special because I know Bill. And he's like, you never had a special. Like, you deserve a special. I got this deal. So, him and Al Magical.
He did his Christian service.
Yeah, he's going,
He's going straight to heaven.
Normally,
for what
you
he
help
did for you.
somebody, you get into heaven. This might stop him from getting into heaven, helping me.
So, I just watched and I just heard Crashing is not coming back.
Right.
So I watched the first season of Crashing. Crashing, for those you don't know, it's on HBO. No, I watched it when it came out.
Okay.
But I just watched the second on the plane, coming back from my trip from the Caribbean, which we'll get into that, because aren't you somewhere from there or something?
Yeah, Jamaica.
Okay, so hold on. I want to get it out of there. But the first season, I have to say, I didn't like it that much.
Oh, tell me why.
Well, first of all, I think Pete Holmes is funny, but how old is he in real life?
Well, you can't. It's showbiz. You can't play.
I know, but it was throwing me because he was acting like the first season, like he was like 21,
right?
And just came off a bus. And I know that was the story of his life.
That's the story. So he tried to.
But
play
it was a little bit
okay.
hard to interpret.
Right.
Okay. But the second season, because it's about a guy starting out with stand-up, and it's Pete Holmes, and it takes place in New York, and lots of regular comics are. The second season, I really liked a lot because there was like a good story to it, and he's divorced, and I loved the whole storyline with the crazy girl he meets at the clothing store, and how she gets jealous, and I just thought it was so realistic and so well done that
cool.
And I loved it. Did you work on? So you worked on the second season.
The second and the third season, yeah.
Oh, okay, great.
I think you just watched the third season.
Then I watched the third.
Yeah, you watched the third.
I loved. Well, the third was my favorite then. Okay, because the third, and then I one of my favorite episodes, hands down, which I watched it. I was like, this should win an Emmy for writing.
Oh, right.
Is the MC Middle headliner.
Oh yeah,
episode.
Yeah.
I thought it was so great. So what it is they go to do stand-up. Now, Pete Holmes is the feature, and his ex-girlfriend is the opener, and then Dove, who just, he is perfect.
Yeah.
He is perfect as white, bitter comic to the nth degree in 2019. And the writing is so good, and then then she, what's her name? She's been on my show.
Now you're making me
she's
forget her name.
She's very good.
And
she's a real comic in real life.
Allie. But that's the character name.
Yes, but she gets into it with him. Like, I'm sorry, like, you're not a fucking victim. And then they go to this comedy club, and nobody knows who he is because he's on the headliner, so he's bitter about that. And he's being gross, hitting on the waitress. Everything about it was just so true to what it's like.
Right.
That was like, so how did you write those? Were you having fun? Like, was it throwing ideas like collaborative? Yeah,
we just talked about, Judd wanted to do something, that has to do with what's going on now. Plus also, you combine it with like what happens because Dove's character was ahead of Pete.
Right.
He gave him spots.
Yes.
At the club, and Pete was a barker.
Yeah.
And Dove used to give him stage time, and now it's like.
A barker means he had to bring people to come to the place in order for him to get a stage time.
Yeah. So then now it's like we want to see the moment when Pete passes Dove.
Yes.
And also when today's culture catches up to him. So he's like, you might feel at the beginning of the episode that Dove is an asshole, but at the same time you're also
feeling a little sorry for him.
Sorry for him.
Yeah, it was really good.
And we all know comics like that character.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I had a spot at the Comedy Store in La Jolla.
Mm-hmm.
Like they said Tommy was running the club at the time. He said, "You're gonna headline," and I went up there with, damn, what's his name? This comic. He's been at the store for a long ass time.
Okay.
And he was in Bachelor Party, like movies like that from the 80s and stuff. Like he was even in House Party.
Yeah.
Anything with a party, he was in there.
Yes.
You know, so he was a big comic back in the day.
Right.
And then Tommy tells him, he gets there, I don't know if they even told him, that he's featuring that weekend.
Not headlining.
Not headlining.
And you are.
And I am. So when you get to the condo, there's 2 bedrooms. One has 2 beds, and one is 1 bed for the headliner.
Right.
And its own bathroom. So he took the headliner bedroom, so I had to share it with the host. And so I didn't complain. And when I got to the club that night, and the first show, when they announced him, and I brought a girl. So it's me, the girl I brought.
Wait, so you and the girl are in a twin bed, and then the MC is in the other bed? Are you serious?
Because he took the goddamn room. Right? So what? Even the MC's having a more comfortable night than me.
Right.
And I'm the headliner.
Yeah.
So then they bring him. They go to bring him. They go to bring him up, and he walks out, and he's like, "I'm not going on.
Second.
I'm second.
Yeah. The headliner.
And then so I just featured the whole weekend on my headlining spot. But they paid me the headliner money, and then it's like, hey, I'd rather feature because
it's 25 minutes.
It's 25 minutes. I'm gonna get paid the same, and like when you're headlining, the people, that's when they drop the checks and all that stuff.
Yes.
So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll take the money.
Right.
And then they did put me in a hotel for the rest of the weekend.
Because you just said you and your girlfriend were like,
yeah.
Did you say, did they feel bad?
Yeah, they felt bad, but he refused to go on.
So, I mean, well, then they would never ask him back after that.
Yeah, Barry Diamond is his name.
Oh my God, I have such a Barry Diamond
you
story.
do? Yeah.
Oh my God, God, it's weird how the universe works because I just thought about Barry Diamond. Okay, this is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm 27 and I get an agent, and this is probably right before Keenan. Okay,
Right.
and I get my first week headlining at Harrah's at the Improv. Okay. And I remember the girl that was managing me had just been fired from Margaret Cho.
Right.
Margaret Cho knew what she was doing. This woman was a freak.
Hilarious.
But I was like, Margaret Cho's manager wants me.
You're just happy at that point. You're 27.
So happy. So I'm like, I go to Vegas. It's one week at Harrah's, and now I'm by myself for a week in Las Vegas. I don't think I'd ever been. I maybe went to Las Vegas once when I was 18 with my parents, like on like an RV road trip to like a family reunion. Okay, so I did not realize like how gross it was. Like the only things I'd seen is like people dressed up, like in like a casino movie or something. So I didn't know how. And I go and do my regular act that I've been doing at the Improv a lot. I totally bomb because I didn't realize like you got to have shorter, quicker jokes and.
Right.
So the whole next day, I spent the whole day rewriting my act and
That's cool.
pulling out the older stuff, making it. So I did well. The people that were the MC were these 2 funny guys that just performed on the Royal Caribbean that I was just on.
Oh, snap.
So I went to go see them, and they're fine, they're great. I was trying to say to my kids, because my kids they're sophisticated comedy people.
Hilarious.
They love Joe Coy, they like Bert Kreischer, now they're going to be obsessed with you.
Come on, kids.
Yeah,
Come on.
no, they were kind of like, God, it makes me appreciate what you and Joe Coy do. And I go, well, thank you. But anyway, they were the MC, and I mean, they were the headliners, and I was that was weird. And then that same week, I had hung out with Barry Diamond one night and saw that he was performing at like some other thing, and I was bored. I was by myself. So I called up Barry Diamond. I go, Barry Diamond, do you remember me? I'm Heather McDonald, and I'm actually at the Harrah's, and I see that you're at the MGM or something.
Right.
And he goes, Heather, you're all grown up. And that weird, he has like a weird voice.
Yeah.
And I just thought of him yesterday about, Heather, I guess you're all grown up. Oh my God, he tried to hit on me too.
Of course, you called a man. Yeah, he's gonna try to. He's gonna. Oh, this is not a coincidence. He doesn't know you're just lonely in Vegas.
No, I was just like, oh, I'll come see you after my show because I'm like have nothing to do. I'm by myself. Yeah.
And then Barry, the thing about Barry is he had a lot of capabilities, right?
Yes.
But he used to do this black guy character.
Right.
And it's like 2000. And you know how everybody's inflection and voice just change from generation to generation?
Yes.
So he's still doing the black dude from like the 80s. And I'm like, I don't know no black people that sound like that. It's like
adjust your act a little, yeah.
Yeah, adjust your act a little. Or if you could do that voice, then you could do the voice of how black people sound now.
Yeah.
You know? Like Johnny Sanchez sometimes does that at the Laugh Factory. And I just go on and tease him after. Or like if I'm on after that, I don't know any black people that sound like that. I said, do I sound like that? And I love Johnny Sanchez, but I just got to kill him. Yeah.
Johnny Sanchez, yes, he's another one that I remember. Here's my Johnny Sanchez story.
Right.
I had a friend. We were, came up together. You only have back then there were very few women doing it. And she was older than I was, but she was really sweet and we were good friends. And one night we're hanging out at the Comedy Store. Johnny Sanchez is there and everything. Mm-hmm. And after that, she just dumped me.
As a friend.
As a friend. Would not return my calls. Mm-hmm. Be weird when I ran into her. And I'm telling you, for 15 years, it would enter my mind, what the fuck did I do? Mm-hmm. I've had friends since I was 6. What did I do? Yeah. Years later, now this is 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. Somehow, I run into her. She reaches out to me, through MySpace or something. Mm-hmm. And we talk on the phone. How are you? Oh, you're doing so great, blah, blah, blah. And I go, I just got to ask you. Why?
You said this to her.
Yes. I go, what was it?
Mm-hmm.
What was it that you just didn't like me anymore? She's like, it was that night at the Comedy Store, and I was talking to Johnny Sanchez, and you just moved into the booth and took over the conversation, and I really liked him. And I'm like, Johnny Sanchez is about 5'5". I am a 5'9.5". Of course I wasn't interested in Johnny Sanchez. I've been friends with Johnny Sanchez for years. I was not. And how would I know that you, who was 15 years older than him, would be interested? How did I know that?
And you never asked me. An adult and talked to you about it.
Yeah.
So maybe it's best that you didn't end up being friends with this childlike, grown-ass woman who didn't.
Who wanted Johnny Sanchez?
It's fine to want Johnny Sanchez, but to stop talking to you over that. Not being mature enough to say, hey, the next day, hey, I'm like Johnny Sanchez. Do you like Johnny Sanchez? No. Do I,
but also, people,
it's not even a negotiation.
And if you've done that to someone, maybe just, let them know. Because they might be wondering for 15 years. Mm-hmm. What the hell did I... And it was all these other things I thought it was. Which it wasn't.
I think you got out of a shitty friendship. Yeah, I think you got off light. I think you got to accept how lucky you are.
Okay, so tell me, I remember so many funny stories about your childhood. I just remember Allison Faust just crying, laughing.
Oh, yeah.
Over the story. Okay, how many kids were in your family?
4. 2 boys, 2 girls. Boy, girl, boy, girl. I'm the second boy.
And you guys were raised in Jamaica, right?
Yeah, but we also grew up in England. We were all born in England.
Oh, okay.
My parents are Jamaican, so they had us in England. Then we moved back to Jamaica.
Did you never had an English accent?
Yeah. And then when I went to Jamaica, then I got a Jamaican accent. When I moved to New York, because, the black American kids, the Yankees, they would fight us when they hear our accent. I just got an American accent. I'm like, I can't fight a whole school of American kids. There's only 10 Jamaicans. Versus 300.
How old were you when you came to America?
17.
Oh, so just the end of high school you had.
Yeah, the end of high school, yeah. And somebody would come and say, hey, we got to fight with the Yankees after school. I'm like, when did this happen?
They would call them the Yankees?
Yeah. And they would just, they would call us derogatory shit too.
The what?
They would call us derogatory shit too.
Oh, derogatory.
Yeah, banana boat people and shit like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so it's and then one of us would get into a fight with one of them. And then you have an assignment in the woods after school.
To go beat up each other?
Yeah.
You know what? That is so weird because my boys are 16 and 13. Mm-hmm. And they have never been in a physical fight with anybody. Right. And I think a lot of people could say that about their kids.
Right.
I just think it's just it's so weird to me now that was such a normal part of like your age group, my parents' age, like it would happen.
Why did you think the Karate Kid was so popular? You had to fight.
True. I mean, I was watching
Everybody related to that movie back then when it came out because
it's just horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it is horrible to think that my kids, the worst thing that you can say or be accused of now is that you're a bully.
Right.
Like they are like I remember I was like, God, you stink, take a shower, and they're like, stop bullying me. I'm like, how is that bullying? You're gonna be bullied when you go to school and stink.
Yeah,
like but it's constantly like this thing where that's the worst thing that you could do. And so physical fights, I mean, it just has never happened. I have nobody now. They're like getting tall enough that hopefully no one will attack them because they would not know how to defend themselves.
And another thing is like you don't even want to fight anybody these days. Everybody knows jujitsu or something.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like you don't know like the nerdiest looking person is a black belt in something.
Yes.
So you so.
It's so true. And like, but with that Karate Kid, I was watching it like a little while ago, and I was just like, what? I mean, if you want to be shocked, people like watch some movies from the 80s.
That's
like
hilarious.
It'll shock you more than if you watch something like from the 40s. It is just so horrible. It's just always a bunch of preppy kids that are like mean to someone that lives in an apartment.
Like Revenge of the Nerds and all of that. Yeah.
God, that's insane.
And now the nerds are the cool people.
Right.
Yeah.
And kids want to be nerdy and they want to act nerdy.
Yeah, I've seen pretty girls nerd themselves up.
Yes.
Like I live in Los Feliz. I'm always in Silver Lake, and I'm like, why?
Describe a hot girl nerding herself up.
Just like different mismatched layers of hair, just whatever you can do.
Different patterns that don't match.
Like you just robbed the closet from Mad Men. You know, it's just like mom jeans. Like who you terrified if your mom came to school to pick you up in those jeans.
I know.
Now everybody's wearing those, and the top nothing ever matches. Like the less off-brand it is, the better somehow, and more expensive. And it's like
I know.
It's just like
I know my stepdaughter, she's a sophomore in college. And she's got
the Asian one?
Yes, and she's so gorgeous now.
So I forgot that. So
do you remember the whole juicy story? And all you guys, I don't know if
I was
did.
there when the Asian daughter happened.
Yes, and I think most of you all just told me to run for the hills.
So, Pete, you met her, but somebody right before.
Yes, was pregnant.
Was pregnant.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. And then it didn't look good, player. It didn't look good. I might have even told her.
Oh, everybody did.
Yeah.
Everybody, because they're like Allison. Who was there was another.
Yeah, Allison's so street. She's the.
But then Allison used Peter to like do her loans and stuff for her house, so she loves us.
Yeah.
But you know she. And
we didn't know you. We know the story of you, and we knew Heather. This is the closest woman to being married I've ever had. You know?
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
And I remember like there was some other guy, and he was like married with 3 kids.
Oh man, you just like doing
with kids. No, but I don't. No. In our office, someone that worked on Lyricist Lounge. I forgot his name, but he'd worked on like UPN shows and.
KB, Kenny Buford.
Yes, and he was like. Run for the hills. Right. He's like, you have a lot going for you. Mm-hmm. You don't want to deal with this bullshit because it was already starting to show its like ugly head of the baby mama being a nightmare. And
did she continue to be a nightmare?
Yes, continued to be a nightmare. You have no idea. Court. I mean, it's. My listeners all know because I actually put it on Patreon and I call it. Step baby mama drama because I was like once she turned 18 I was like I'm gonna tell the story but I'm gonna do it on the Patreon where it's only like my really good fans that would listen and it was a fucking nightmare.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up here
in Calabasas.
Woodland Hills.
Like for a white girl you live like a hood life. You have a step you're a step baby mother with an Asian daughter for your husband who had her before you got together. Like she was pregnant with her when you met him, or you went on some dates.
No, I did not know. They literally. This is the craziest thing.
Sorry to bring this up right.
No, this is the craziest.
But I have a feeling my senses tell me this is all cool.
This is the craziest thing, okay? There was a book, and I've talked about this before, but you guys will like hearing it. There was a book that was like on Oprah, everyone's going crazy. It was called The Rules. And it was made by these two women, like you follow these old-fashioned rules and you get the guy to like you. And it's like, you don't accept a date, you know, unless it's like 3 days before, you don't answer the phone, which is, this is before texting, so the rules don't really apply today. But like things like that, you make them think you're busy, that you have more going on, you know, you be a little aloof, okay? So when I met Peter, he's like, I can do Thursday or I can do Saturday. And I'm like, again, the rule said you want the Saturday date. You want to be Saturday, you don't want to be Miss Monday, Miss Thursday. So I'm like, let's do Saturday. Make them wait, okay? I'm pretty sure in doing the timeline that
that's when Miss Monday got pregnant.
I think she was probably got impregnated like that Friday or Thursday. And had I chosen Thursday, she lived kind of far away. I think he would have blown her off.
Right.
And because right after...
But he needed something to do in between.
Yes. Yeah. And so right after he blew her off. But, you know, now I just...
So
and now
hilarious.
she's 19 and... Honestly, she's the most delightful she's ever been.
But it's just so funny that you raised the Asian.
Yes, I have. And she's like, you know.
Your first time marrying a guy, so.
I know. Well, I always used to say, I was like, what do you do when your boyfriend gets knocked up by someone else?
Right.
You marry him just like St. Joseph did. St. Joseph married Mary. He wasn't the father.
Right.
She was knocked up by God.
He's St. Joseph now?
Who?
He should.
Joseph is the patron saint of stepfathers.
I never knew.
I gave him that name.
I know you're right.
But, no, but really, Joseph was Jesus' dad, but it really wasn't his dad.
Everybody's like the saint. What do they call Mary? Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary.
But she's a saint. But Joseph,
she's not
you're right.
No, she's above the saints.
Joseph should be a goddamn saint. You're right.
I think he might be a saint.
I never really heard of that.
I don't know if he.
But he was.
Somebody will write me and they know. We have a lot of Catholic
Especially
fans.
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really noble anyway. But
noble of what you?
Of me and Joseph. You know, but it's inspiring because I know a lot of women, you know, our stepmoms are with a guy with a kid, and it is really hard, and you have to evaluate what, you know.
But I think it's great because you
in the end, it all
have
worked
this
out.
life, and nobody can come up to you and say, you don't know nothing. You've been on this show. You've been on that. You're like, no, you've been gully.
I have. Oh, not that this is an African American issue, but I do have a brother in jail for the third time.
Oh, congratulations! You didn't tell me. Why didn't you tell me the great news? Jesus.
I mean, yeah. So no one could say I'm, you know, suffering from white privilege and that I think I'm this, you know, easy life. However, I still think I've had a very good life.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm like, you know how like everybody always gets up and wins an Oscar. And they're like, I grew up from the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
I've been to Chicago a lot. I don't know why the south side is such a braggadocious
you don't
thing.
See that part. Yeah.
It's just a scary part.
Yeah.
Okay. But I'm always like, I joke about like, well, I grew up on the south side of Ventura Boulevard, and we have coyotes, and shit gets real. Like, I mean, what am I going to say? Obviously, I had it good, but I didn't have it as good as Tracy Ellis Ross. I didn't have a mom that was Diana Ross.
Well,
so I mean...
You know
what
I
I mean?
on
Everybody
Blackish,
has
right?
Yes, tell me about working on Blackish.
Well, first, before that,
yes.
Like when you moved in with Peter.
Yes.
You remember I came to your house on Wilshire I got your furniture.
Oh, the blue and white couch.
The couch, no, I didn't get the couch, but I got the coffee table and some other things.
Okay.
Yeah. And my friend has that coffee table today because it's my ex-girlfriend. Like, she has that coffee table to this day.
Oh, my God. Does she listen to Juicy
Like,
Scoop?
you should come visit the coffee table. It's a huge wooden coffee table. Like, I had it in my apartment, and then when I moved, because I moved to Reseda for a little bit, then I gave it to her. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So I can still go to her house and see that.
That is so... I do remember that.
Yeah.
Are you sad that I didn't invite you to my wedding? Because I still carry a lot of guilt.
No.
I don't think...
Weddings are work for the people that's
I
not
know.
getting married.
I don't think... Tracy was the only one I invited, and my wedding would have been work. It was an hour and a half long Catholic ceremony that people still complain about today.
Yeah, I ain't trying to do that.
Drake is like, that's why your friends don't keep in touch with you. I was like, Jesus, thanks.
So
that's my son, Drake.
That's your son, Drake?
Yeah. Which is now the hippest name ever. I don't think he appreciated it until like the last 5 years, and now he loves his name a lot.
He loves his name, Drake. Yeah. Drizzy.
But when I
call me Drizzy, Mom.
But sometimes I've like talked about Drake in conversations or on shows and stuff, and they're like, "You know Drake?" I'm like, "Oh no, sorry, that's my son." Yeah. But they did meet each other once at the Kardashian party, so that was nice. So he's had some fun. Okay, but wait. So, tell me about working on Blackish.
So it's just funny how
yes
you work with somebody,
yeah,
and then you end up working with them again, because you like, what are the odds of that? You know, that's how I thought anyway.
Yeah.
But apparently, it happens a lot more.
I think it happens a lot actually because people keep hiring. It's like, you want to hire the people you know are funny and you like their friends versus going off of like 100 agency things that you have to read through. If you know someone's already been great at working on a show.
Yeah, but she didn't hire me. No. But it probably didn't hurt if they asked her if she knew about me.
Right.
But do you know why am I blanking?
Because you're getting old.
Yeah, that is what. So that's my excuse, y'all. But the showrunner from Crashing. Not from Crashing, from Blackish. Kenya Barris.
I know, no.
Kenya used to work at Kenan. Or did something there.
Yes, she's the showrunner? That's awesome.
No, he's a guy.
Oh, a guy.
But
well,
Kenya
I don't know. Yeah.
used to do he used to do something at Kenan when we were writers, but he wasn't a writer.
Oh, the late night show.
Yeah, the late night show.
Uh-huh.
So then he's the one that called me in for Blackish because he created it.
Oh, wow.
And then so I saw the pilot and I was like, this is going to be a hit. And
so good. It's my kid's favorite show.
Oh, yeah? Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, we love, oh my God. Now,
because it's so relatable, it's so California too.
Just everything about it. Kid going to, how he gets that kick, doesn't want to go to private school and he goes to the public school. We did that same thing with Drake. He went to Catholic school the whole way. Now he's at Calabasas, and how I was freaking out about it, just convinced. Like every day I'm like, don't vape, don't get shot, bye. Like
Calabasas high?
It's so safe. And it's actually not. It's really chill too. It's very mixed. It's not snobby like you'd think. The snobby kids are at Sierra Canyon. Not snobby, but the really privileged Hollywood privileged kids are at Sierra Canyon.
That's a private school?
Yeah, that's a private school. That's where Keenan's kids all went. Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like your kids saved you a lot of money.
Yeah.
By going, say, I want to go to a high school. Plus, I think when you live in certain areas, those high schools are private.
Yeah, that's why Calabasas is good. Yeah,
but you're not paying like a college tuition for your kid to get an education. The only thing that I see from private schools is like Kenya went to a private school.
Yeah.
And anybody you mention that's famous, he knows. He's like, oh, I can call so and so. Kenya, the showrunner.
Where did he go? Harvard, Westlake.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So he knows. He's connected.
Yes.
So that's the thing. Like when I don't have any kids, but when I talk to writers who have kids, I see, and this other writer, Dave Nichol, he went to a private school in California. He knows the guy was a lieutenant general of like California or San Francisco. He just knew everybody.
Right.
Growing up, that's what private school
gets you. My all-girl Catholic high school, and it's not connected like that. No. It's like a step below.
It's just
like,
a regular.
Yeah, like the girl that got caught for her parents paying $500,000 to go to SC. She went to Marymount, which is like this version, but my version's in the Valley and hers is on Sunset.
Right.
That school of Marymount, they have the really rich girls there.
Okay.
Ours are like. Our people in the industry are like the set designers, it's like there's some industry people, but it's not at this level. It's like pretty, I like to keep it real. But anyway, so when you worked you worked just a season or two or what?
Just a season, yeah.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
And it was good to know other people there. So it's good to know Tracy, and she was there, and we worked on Lyricist Lounge together. And then, who else did I that was it. Her,
you know how she got girlfriends?
Oh.
So after, in between the seasons of Lyricist Lounge, we would talk all the time. And she took me to like this Korean spa that like her mom used to go to. And I was like, wait, Diana Ross is being scrubbed by Asian ladies like in public, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my god, this is insane. And this is before like anybody knew what these Asian scrub spots. And then we would go to this cool Asian place on 3rd Street, and when later on she told me when she got the job and everything, she said, you know, it was because we were having dinner that night that the creator or one person in Girlfriends then saw her walk in and goes, that's who Joan, that's who I should get for Joan.
Oh, snap.
So had I not gone to dinner with her, she would have not gone to Girlfriends, not gotten the 3 other shows after that.
So did
God,
you feel
coughing, Peter.
I know. I
did
gotta
you
go
feel,
down.
Yeah.
Did you feel left behind when she got Girlfriends?
Yes.
They didn't get a fee?
I know.
Or something?
I said, what is this show? And she's like, oh, it's like, you know, 4 girlfriends and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like.
Before Sex in the City or?
It was before.
Oh, shit.
It was right. Let me think. Might have been right around then.
Yeah.
But it was definitely Sex and the City wasn't a hit. Had it started, it wasn't a hit.
Right.
It was more like. There was this other one with Queen Latifah that was about 4
Living
girls.
Single.
Yes, that Living Single was kind of like, what the fuck? Like, we're the original girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
But, so she, I was like, isn't there any part for like a white girl? And she's like, no, there isn't. And I was like, oh. And then our show ended.
Right.
Do you talk to anyone from that? What about Vernon?
Fison worked with Kenya because they know each other.
Okay.
So I worked with Fison. And then who you said, Vernon? Never seen him. I worked with Michael Snowden a few times after.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And who else? You remember the time
What?
when, what's his name? The other writer that was in our room.
I don't know.
And
Describe.
he got fired. And when he got fired, they came in that night.
Yeah.
I think we were both in the office, and he went home, and then they came in our office, and started packing up his shit.
Oh my God, that's like out of The Bachelor.
Yeah.
When they know that the person isn't coming back.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So they packed up his shit, and we're like, what's going on? Keenan fired him because he had pitched some joke. He was struggling, and then he had pitched some joke that Keenan liked, and then was going to use on a monologue, and then they found out the joke wouldn't work because he thought, do you know the actress Janet Reno, and there was the Governor General Renee Reno.
Yeah.
He confused them and made the joke, and so the joke, he used the wrong name, so the joke doesn't work, and that was like the last straw.
Oh my God.
And he was happy because the joke worked and Keenan was going to use it. Hold on one second. So Keenan couldn't use it, and it's like, all right, he's out. He's not producing. So then they came and packed up his boxes and shit.
My God.
And I was still there late, like terrified, trying to work on anything that I could, and I'm watching somebody's like shit getting taken out of their desk. Right?
I remember.
But listen. So then his name is Al Cleveland.
Yes.
Al Cleveland.
I remember.
So then I'm like, all right, cool. They told him. So the next morning I get to work early, right? And I'm sitting there, and Al walks in to work. They didn't tell him. So he walks in, and I see his empty-ass desk. And then he's looking at me like, what's going on? I'm like, I don't even know what I told him. I was like, you better go talk to them. And they didn't even tell him that night. I thought they told him. He came to work that morning.
You know what I also remember about him?
Mm-hmm.
Is that he would write all his jokes out and fax it to his wife to like double check like the grammar and stuff.
Oh, shit.
So he was like insecure about that.
Right.
Oh my God. I remember we would have to stay until like 11.
So I stayed till midnight.
And be there. And I remember we were walking back to our cars, and you go, even slaves get to sleep. And then I remember they changed it. They're like, okay, half the crew can leave half the time at 6 or whatever.
Right. Because it was just like, you're just trying to prove yourself. It was my first writing job. I wanted for this to work because it would lead to other things. And then
I got fired.
You
yes,
did?
I did. I got fired because it was week 11 and, or no, like week 12 or something. They're supposed to tell you on week 11 if you got picked up for another 13 rounds. And I hadn't been picked up, and I don't know what was going on. Though I did feel like I was jiving better, but still, I was so...
Because it took a while to get in the groove and stuff.
I mean, honestly, I've never been to public school, but I felt like I entered a public school, and I was like hated. First everyone was really nice. Right. And then all of a sudden they like hated me.
Oh, right.
Oh, I remember why they hated me.
Why?
Because Michael Snowden, this other writer who was black, and this other guy who was white, Andy, who went on to write for The Tonight Show, who then was, both of them totally nice to me after friends hired me, like recommended me for jobs. Right. But at this time, they go, hey, you want to get together early and like help each other come up with pitches for a meeting? I go, okay. So we came up with some idea for a cold open for the guest. Right. And we're going around the circle, and it came to me way before them. Oh. Because we didn't get to go to a writer's room. We had to sit on the ground while Keenan sat at his desk and ate granola. Even though there was a beautiful, like, writer's table, but whatever. So we're sitting there, and everyone just procrastinated so much in that meeting to get, like, everyone told a funny story, anything to get to, like, your joke. So we go around, and it's my turn. And I go, okay, so we were talking about this before, but we were thinking, and I said we, but I may have not said Michael Snowden and whatever. Mm-hmm. And he liked it. And he goes, okay, so write that up. Right. Okay. I go, okay. Come back. I'm happy. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I can see where.
They shut the door.
Oh, that's damn.
And they're like, you are fucking with our livelihood. And I go, what do you mean? You took all the credit. You didn't say. And I go, oh my God, what do you want me to do now? I'm like, do you want me to go in and say that it was the three of us? I mean, like, because I've like never stolen material, never cheated on a test. Like, I just was like, what do you want me? And they're like, no, don't fucking say anything, because that'll just make us look like assholes, you know? No, but just no.
You wouldn't have made them look like assholes if you went in there and said, oh, by the way, you know, I came up with this.
Anyway, I was just walking on eggshells. At that point, I ate by myself. I didn't know what was inviting me. We all ate by ourselves. No, people were going for lunch together.
Listen, I've never felt so alone in my life. It's just like, because you're
like, it was the caterer of that show that introduced me to Peter.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah.
The girl?
No, the guy that had the truck. Brian.
Oh, there was.
He was my friend I dated him back a long time ago, and then we were friends. And then he introduced me to. Then he said, you should meet then we talked on the phone, and yeah, he made like they were probably totally overpaying the caterer. But anyway, yeah, that was crazy. Those type of things.
It was hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's some humiliating Hollywood stories that you have about business or stand up or whatever?
Well, there's a lot of stand up. I remember the first year they had the NBC Diversity Comedy Showcase.
Yes.
And I did really well. I think they didn't have a winner then, but I technically won.
Okay.
So then I got called into meetings, and one meeting, it might have been at William Morris, some big thing with an M.
Right.
And I'm talking to the guy, telling him this story, and he gets on the phone, and I have to stop in the middle of the story and hold it, and then
another call.
Yeah. And then I'm fighting to finish the story and still tell it in a way that's exciting.
Yes.
And because I want to do good in this meeting. This is a good manager or agency.
Yes.
And good representation. And I'm like, now I think about, I should have just walked out that shit.
Yeah.
That shit was humiliating. I should have been like, hey man, I'm out, and just walked out. It's like, because if you're taking calls, you don't want me anyway.
Yes.
Like, you know, you called me here. You know what I mean? I should have just left.
The only time I've done that was when I was still dating. And I remember this guy called me, we were met at the gym, and he was like a doctor, and he was like cute enough, and we're talking on the phone. To set up the date. We were going to go on a date. And he was like, so you're a comedian? I go, and he goes, but you don't seem very funny. And and I go, you know what, let's just forget it. He goes, forget what? I go, just forget going on the date at all. He's like, really? I go, yeah. And that was like, finally, I was like, all right, I'm done. Like, I'm going to start to just date people that really have potential, and I'm going to try to nip it. But yeah, I've only recently started to be like, I'm not going to waste my time on these things. I mean, the amount of times that I've gone to stuff and just to entertain someone for an hour, like lashes, whole outfits. Drive an hour each way.
Put together,
And I'm like, what? Oh, fuck it. Like, that's why I'm so I'm actually really happy in my career right now that, that I have the podcast and I have the stand up. Though I want to do more on TV, but then I'm like, God, I mean, it's just like finally got an audition. Haven't had an audition forever. Okay, while I'm on the cruise.
Oh damn!
And it's a mom of 3 in a blended family who's a realtor. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Straight to series. And I don't have good Wi-Fi. And they're like, well, maybe you could put it on tape. I'm like, what, in the Royal Caribbean, like, cabin room? Like, how am I going to print it out? How am I going to even send it? Who's going to film it? My kids are going to be annoyed. I can't edit it here. Like, and I'm like, really, what are the chances, you know? And then, but I said, no, like, there's no way I can do it. If I can do it Monday, fine. They're like, no, it'll be cast by then. I'm like, oh, well.
I had to do an audition. I'm in Hawaii just for 3 days. They hit me up. Here's an audition. So I was with the girl I was dating at the time.
Yeah.
Reading sides in the park. We only there for 3 days. They used half of one of the 3 days to fucking do the audition. You can't, you're like, man, fuck that.
I hate that. Yeah. Did you get it?
No.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Of course, that's why I was like, forget it. And that's the only thing that made me feel happier.
We got mushrooms to do. We got to delay the mushrooms to do this goddamn audition.
The thing that that made me feel happier is later on, I finally just was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I'll read the sides now that it's done and over. And it was some like guy's a former wrestler and she has to stand on a box to kiss her husband. And I go, oh, good. I would have been way too fucking tall for this thing anyway. The whole comedy was that she's small and feisty. So I'm like, well, you know, I'm glad I didn't even bother losing an entire day when I could be at the Windjammer at the buffet. Like, it is ridiculous. What's your craziest ex-girlfriend story?
Craziest ex-girlfriend? This is when I was in New York. And I was dating this girl. She's Jamaican. And to break up with her, I wrote her a letter.
Like a handwritten letter?
Yeah, yeah.
What'd you say?
I can't remember.
How old were you?
19 or some shit like that.
Okay.
Right. I mean, I thought we'd broken up, but she would always make us get back together. So I was like, let me write a letter. But it wasn't mean, right? But she took everything literally.
Yeah.
And the way I found out she took everything literally was I used to love basketball, and every day I just couldn't wait to get to the park at 5 and play ball. And I'm walking into the park, and I could see my friends down at the court, and I'm like, it's just sunshine. And then I hear behind me, hey, Ian! And I turn around, it's her with the letter in her hand. And she's walking towards me, yelling at me, and she's ready to fight me in front of and I got the ball, the court, and then her. And I have to, like, talk to her, and she's, like, reading off all the things in the letter.
Yeah.
And telling me how she took them. And I could see how she took it that way, but I'm like, that's not how I meant it. And then everybody stopped playing basketball now. They're looking.
They're watching the show.
They're watching the show. Yeah. That was one of them.
Where is she today? Do you think she'll watch your Comedy Central special?
Maybe. I still talk to her son. I spoke to him this week.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so she forgave you.
I mean, yeah. I mean, she had a son, too. I was dating her. She was older than me. And, he's a pretty cool dude. He's a teacher now. Just spoke to him the other day. He came to L.A. and stayed with me.
Really?
Before. Yeah, yeah.
Now, you've never had any kids?
No.
That you're aware of?
That I'm aware of. All the blood tests came back inconclusive.
Have you ever thought you might have a child?
Yes, I almost died.
Really?
Yeah.
And what happened? Was it yours?
No, it just didn't
work
She
out.
wasn't pregnant.
Oh, she wasn't pregnant?
Yeah.
Oh, so
because,
she's just
sometimes
being dramatic.
women think they're pregnant. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so crazy when people go really far with it. There's been some amazing, like, crazy stories on the internet where women have, like, worn the fake stomach. And not to trick the man, but to trick, like, other people around them. Like, oh, my God, I'm pregnant.
Wow.
And to get money, to get attention. Almost like a Munchausen's kind of thing.
Right.
Like they do.
Yeah, okay.
But, like, oh, my God, you're pregnant. And then they go to another town and they pretend that they're this single woman pregnant and their husband's in the military and he was killed. And, like, it's crazy, these stories. It's just like all these men that... I'm obsessed with these serial dater stories where these guys have multiple women going and they're tricking them, and it's just...
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, but they're doing it to get money too.
Oh.
They're like stealing money from them as well as sleeping with multiple women.
It's still easier to get a regular job. Like, it's way less work to have just a regular job than
I know there's
spinning
so much
all those plates.
That's what I think.
You know
like
what I mean? And then move. I hate moving.
Yeah.
So I gotta move on top of that. Fuck that.
Oh my God. So okay, so when you worked on TV shows, and then what in between the TV shows? Then you do stand up, and now
and sometimes during. Depends on the show. Like
that was always really hard at Chelsea lately because for people that are not comics, they want you in like by Thursday to go do like the whole weekend.
Right.
And if you can't get Thursday or Friday off, then it becomes an issue.
Right.
And I don't blame them because it's a TV show, and why should the non stand-up writers have to be there and the stand-up writers get to leave? It's kind of a hard thing to do.
Right. Plus you have to like work out during the week and get on stage and work on you have to work your writing job, stay on stage during the week, after work, and you got a family. And hope to get weekend gigs and go to those weekend gigs. So
I know.
That's a lot.
It was hard.
Yeah.
Did you ever have to lie about work? Oh, I didn't tell you why I got fired from Keenan. The reason I got fired from Keenan...
Yeah, you told me why they froze you out, but why'd you get fired?
Because my manager goes, there's 2 auditions. Again, auditions that I never get. 2 auditions for 2 sitcoms, pilots. And I got them both on the same day, but you're going to have to call them. I mean, I think you're going to have to call in sick. I'm like, well, I'd have to call in sick. How am I going to go 2 places in this town? Like, everything takes an hour to get to. So I couldn't believe it, but the night before, he gave me a little assignment.
Oh, shit.
And I still called in sick to the writer's assistant and said, I'm sick. I'm throwing up all night. I go to the 2 auditions. And then that night, I check my voicemail or something. I'm at the Comedy Store, and they're like, and it's the writer's assistant.
At the Comedy Store?
I'm at the Comedy Store. I know. Well, I don't know why I was at I know that was really dumb too, but I think I had a spot and some fucking belly room thing. And I remember I called. I did not have a cell phone at the time. I called a payphone, listened to my voicemail to call the writer's assistant. And I go, hey, it's Heather. And he goes, hey, Keenan said you don't have to come in tomorrow or ever.
Oh, shit.
And I go, oh. He's like, so you can come tomorrow and get your stuff.
Yeah. Stone cold, baby.
It was the dumbest, one of the biggest regrets, probably the biggest regret I have career-wise to this day.
But the show didn't last much after you left. Because I didn't even remember you got fired.
But I think I would have worked on Scary Movie had I stayed, and that would have been 2 movies, and maybe I would have been in them, and you know, and then it took several years later for
to get back in.
Yeah, that was just because they were writing this thing before White Chicks, and they were like, we need like a white girl's perspective because they had a character, and it was Michael Snowden then who called me and said, you know, can you do this?
Right.
And then I was smart because at the time my son was 2 months old, and I was like, I don't think I can leave. And then, oh no, and Peter was like, no, go, it's fine. And I'm so glad I did. You showed up,
you didn't even eat. You're like, I'm not fucking this up. I'm not eating. I'm getting there early.
I was like, I will never pull that shit again. Yeah. It's so dumb. Don't ever do that, people. It's a hard thing to juggle that when you're a writer in a show, but you really want to be an actor. Right. You kind of it would happen a lot with because of our show Chelsea lately. They wanted writers that would then be on camera. It evolved into that. It wasn't always that. Right. And that was a struggle because people were so happy to have this steady gig, but at the same time, now you're getting exposure, and now your agents are like, oh, can you audition for this? Can you do this? And you're like, fuck, I can't. Right. But if you leave the show, they're going to be so pissed they're not even going to throw you on the round table anymore. Right. So it's like
what they call that, a golden goose or something like not a golden goose.
I don't know. It's like the
golden handcuffs or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah. And so it's like, so some people would eventually leave, you know, because they were like, I just want more like Josh Wolf or whatever.
Josh was a writer on there too?
Yeah, he was first on the round table a lot. Then he became a writer on it for a couple of years. And then he was just like not happy. And he just goes, I got to go do my thing. And he left on really good terms. But I always felt like it was such like an incestual personal thing, almost like a family, where it's like you know, if you had 5 kids, like there's certain kids that can get away with something and someone else can't. Like I knew that there was no way. Like if I left, I knew they'd be like, "You're never coming back on." So I just was like, "Well."
I remember when you called me about I got offered this job. It pays $2,000 a week.
Yeah.
And you think it's a show. And she's like, "Should I take it?" I don't know what I told you.
I think you probably said take it.
Yeah. And like, all right. And then I saw what it turned into.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to get on Chelsea lately on the panel.
I asked about you. I want you to know.
And I'll tell you what I heard.
Okay. That it was me?
No.
Okay. No, I remember because I honestly didn't have that many stand-up friends. So every single one I recommended, you know. I mean, I knew Josh. So Josh came on in the test shows and then they liked him a lot. And Chelsea knew Josh too. So that's not it. But I would remind people and they're like, who do you guys know? I think this is dead. It's okay. My thing dead. It's okay. This is YouTube, but I get way more off of Instagram than YouTube. But I'm trying to act like it's 2008 and bring back YouTube. Anyway, Michael Cox, who was our booker, and no offense to Michael Cox, but my recollection is that I brought you up, and he thought for the way the show was that your cadence was a too low energy.
So.
Not that you weren't funny, but like you couldn't be like hyper enough.
It couldn't have been more incorrect. Like Dave Nichols, I wrote. We knew Michael Cox.
Yeah.
And then we wrote on David Allen Greer's show, Chocolate News on Comedy Central.
Yes.
And we shared an office. And he's like, "Hey man, you're funny, man."
Yeah.
He's like, "You ever done Chelsea lately?" I said, "No, for some reason I can't get on there."
Right.
And he's like, "Man, I'm calling." He was so enthusiastic. "I'm calling him right now."
Yes.
And he calls up Michael Cox. And I'm standing next to him. He's like, "Yeah, I got a great comic, and he's funny for you to be on the show." And he said, "It's Ian Edwards," and then Ian Edwards. You could see the enthusiasm being drained out of him on the other side of the phone, and then he hangs up and said, "He thinks you're too low energy."
See, so you know I'm telling the truth.
But why would Michael Cox think that? Because, listen, I'm from the Comedy Cellar generation of comics, where you sit around the table every night after your set. Patrice is there, Bill Burr is there, Colin Quinn is there, Norton's there, Rich Voss, Keith Robinson, and we're all making each other laugh. We're all debating topics.
Right.
And they're all loud fucking people. It's like, I know how to slip a joke in and say what I have to say. Like, we were all friends. They all respected me, not because I was just some quiet dude that just sat there. I was like, how do you think conversations work? So he never got me on the show because he thought I was low energy. But then I would see low energy, like Dove was like odd and weird. And so I saw Dove on the show. So I'm like, how come Dove is on the show? He's not exactly high energy.
You know what it is? And it's so hard to realize this because we all take things personally, but I
didn't take it personally. I just completely disagreed with it.
Right.
Because I knew I could do it.
But you could have, and you would have been great, and it would have been really, who knows, you know. But what would happen is, you know, his job's on the line too, always. Everybody could be fired at any second. Right. I mean, she was kind of like that. And, like, all of a sudden, we had Chris, who's the one Nerdist? What the hell's his last name?
I know you're talking about. He hosted At Midnight.
At Midnight, Chris. What the fuck is his name?
Yeah, why? I like him too.
I want to say anyway, Chris. And he was on it all the time.
Right.
And then just one day, she just was like over him.
Oh, right.
And you know, and that was just kind of it. He did nothing wrong. We had Tiffany Haddish on, and one day it was just one, you know. And a couple years later, I see Tiffany Haddish. Before she really blew up, but she was doing well. And she's like, "You got to tell me what happened." Just like, what? Right. Like, I want to know. And I was like, it's so nothing. It was like, and we didn't have a say. And I really felt like, being that I was on the show from the inception of the show, and I was, you know, on camera with her, would go on the road with her, I felt like people thought I had way more of a say or more in her ear than I did, including E executives. I've never been on E since. Right. They hate her, won't have me on, do anything. I haven't even been on their like daily pop show, like nothing. And even when I had my special,
you ever been on their daily pop show? So what am I doing here? You can't even get me in. That's why I did this.
I mean, thank God for podcasting is all I can say. But I mean, so yeah, and I think with him, it's like, hey, these people are working, and then sometimes people would be insecure about having someone come on because like then that might shorten how many times we're on in a month. Right. Totally being honest, like
that's honest.
After a while, we didn't want any more new people because.
Right.
I went from being on once a week to once every other week till in the end we were on once every third week.
Damn.
So I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna eventually just
slip off the edge.
Yeah. And the executive producer comes in and goes, we need to find a younger Heather McDonald. Do you know anyone?
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Asked you?
Asked me for another show they're working on. Do you know someone that could be Ross Matthews' like sidekick that's like you but younger?
Damn. That's cold blooded.
I know.
Jesus.
But I was like, okay, but that's the way it is. So, I mean, in the end, with that show ending, which was completely her doing, we probably would still be on today if she wanted it. But I don't know that I'd still be on camera today because it's like they would have been like, no, we got to be really diverse. You're too old and white. Mm-hmm. And so by her doing it, it was kind of great because I'm like, I would have never quit.
Right.
I never would. I called in. I think I called in sick 2 times in 7 years.
That Keenan thing really taught you.
Oh my God, it scared the shit. Also, I don't get sick, but I think literally I did it one day and it was like not a tape day. And I was like finishing my book and I was like, I just need one day at home. And meanwhile, new dads,
everybody was just
they were sick all the time.
People were running lawless.
God, I mean, I'll never forget that. I remember that with when I got there, my kids were 1.5, 1.5, 4, and like 7. Okay, with Mackenzie who lived with us half the time, and I missed everything. I missed every poetry reading, everything. I would never play the mom card, and then a couple of the guys started having kids, and they were at the first doctor's appointments. They were at this thing. I'm like, what? Like, I get sick, and I'm not here. Like, and I just remember the best was when Josh Wolf came, and he was like, he's like, I'm out, and they're like, oh. I hope Jacob wins this baseball game. I'm like, Jacob, his 14-year-old son? He's a dad of a 14-year-old son, and he's leaving to go to the baseball game at 4. But I used that.
But his woman left him or something, right?
Yeah, but he had a wife at that time.
Right.
No, his wife, current wife, raised his kid with that woman from 4 years old on.
Right.
Okay. And he's a great dad. But he was smart in that he went in there and was like, I'm going to write on the show. I'm going to leave for my kids' bed. And they're like, okay, whatever you say.
They wanted him.
Yes.
Because he was a panelist. Yes. And they tried to drag him in the office. So he used his leverage.
And he was smart. And, and sometimes when I talk about with my female listeners and stuff, like, look how the men act. That you got to act more like that.
It's not even men. It's just whoever.
It's whoever has the balls.
Whoever has the balls.
A little bit have the balls. Like,
because I remember like being at Keenan and feeling that way.
Yeah.
And just like showing up every day. Like I said, I was there late enough to see them pack up Al Cleveland's box, and I was there early enough in the morning to be one of the few people to see him come to work not knowing that he was fired. So I was just there, you know what I'm saying? I was like, it's not going to be a lack of trying that I'm getting fired for.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, And
do you get jealous about other comics' success?
No.
Throughout the years? Ever?
No.
You're happy for every single person. You're being completely honest.
I'm not even, it's not jealous. Like, I'll be like, hey, that person is not that funny.
Okay.
Or that person is funny, so they deserve it.
Right.
Or maybe that person's not that funny, but they're a great person as a person. So I prefer, I couldn't think of somebody else that I'd want to be that rich because of how nice they are to people.
Right.
With their wealth. Like, so it's like they're helping everybody else. So
good for them,
Good for them. And good for everybody else that they help.
Right.
But sometimes that person ain't that funny. How is that happening? But I also understand I don't know the math of this thing. I've been wrong about so many things. You know what I mean?
Like what have you been wrong about?
Like, I was talking about this last night. Like, and maybe Ben Bailey would admit this, but when we were at the Boston Comedy Club, when we first, maybe I'd been doing it longer. Maybe Ben was newer, but he was struggling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, you just plain and bland, and I don't know what was gonna happen with this guy. You know what I mean? And like everybody would be like figured it out and was firing, and Ben was just like, monotone, and I'm monotone, and I'm telling you he was monotone.
Yeah.
Right? And then I leave New York, I come to LA, start writing. Next thing I know, Cash Cab. I'm like, Cash Cab. Next thing you know, he's showing up in LA with winning Emmys and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, I've been wrong. Yeah. You figured it out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do figure there are some comics that, and Keenan used to talk about this all the time, which kind of makes sense because Keenan was like a really good student. I don't know if you remember what he would tell us, but he had like a scholarship to go to college in engineering.
Yeah.
And he was like the smartest kid in the family, and he dropped out his last year, and the mom was like furious to start to do stand-up. But when we would do, he'd be like, the math of the joke. He would always talk about the math of the joke and like how he would kind of figure out. And I think there's certain comics that are just naturally have you rolling at a cocktail party and have since they were 5.
Right.
Okay. And then there's ones like I think the Harvard Lampoon people and some other comics that are successful that study it and like figure it out.
Right.
And I don't even and those people can be on stage and they can write funny scripts, but they're still not that funny to hang out with.
Right. Like
it's really interesting.
I figured it out too. I feel like I figured it out. I figure I have a decent amount of natural ability, but I figure also that I figured it out. But I didn't just. I also figured out like socially interacting with people so that like I could maximize everything that I have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And make everything better and stronger. So I feel like I fall in the middle of what the two type of people you just described. Yeah.
Like, what's your goals for the next 5 years? What would you really like to see to happen to Ian
Sell
Edwards?
Out theaters. I don't know if I ever want to do someplace as big as like the Garden or some shit like that. But I just want to like
jump to the next level.
Jump to the next level as a stand-up. Have multiple specials. Have tons of money in the bank, and work when I want to work. Like as far as like doing theaters as opposed to like doing improvs, which is like sometimes could total up to like from 6 to 10 shows on a weekend. Shit gets monotonous.
Yeah.
You're not into it. You know what I mean? I want to do it the amount of time I need to do it to not be bored with it and do the amount of the perfect amount of shows to keep me happy, for people to want to come see me and for me to be the best I can be and have free time to do whatever I want to do. I want to go, do shows in places that I want to travel to.
Yes.
And like, so vacation and work and live, and then not have to worry about anything financially.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Now you have a podcast, but it's just about soccer, right?
Yeah. See the way you said it, but it's just
Well, I mean, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about the girl? Do you follow any of the girls' soccer stuff?
I just was at the bar yesterday in the middle of the day watching
What do you
soccer.
think about the girl doing the tea thing? Were you offended by that?
What's the tea thing?
I just read it on New York Post that one of our American soccer players did this like acting like she's drinking tea, like a fuck you to England.
To the England. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, that's fucked up.
Why is that fucked up? I think that's
kind of
great.
Way.
I think it's kind of great.
Not in a bad way. I think it's fine. I mean, America did get lucky in the match.
You think?
Yeah, England scored a goal.
So you're still rooting for England because
I root for 3 teams.
Okay.
Jamaica, America.
Are you
and
citizens
England.
of all 3?
Basically, let's just say that.
Are you not an American citizen still?
Yeah, I'm not.
You're not?
No, I'm a permanent resident alien.
How does that? Are you scared?
Of what?
Getting kicked out?
Permanent resident alien.
How do you become a permanent resident alien? Does that exist?
From I was like.
Because you're a child.
Child, yeah.
Oh.
My mother got the green card, and we legally came over here.
Oh, okay.
I've been paying taxes and working, and bombing.
But is the only way that you could become a citizen now? Why wouldn't you try to become one and take the test? You don't want to study?
I mean, one of the reasons is, when you have a British passport, if I say I get like some major illness, I just go back to England and take care of that shit.
You don't have SAG insurance?
Yeah, but if I'm gonna stop writing right now, it's gonna run out. You know what I mean?
Oh, right.
Or Writers Guild. It's gonna run out. You know.
So you're just keeping it in case you get cancer.
Yes, basically. Basically. Go to England, take care of it, come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's cool. Well,
England is my health insurance policy.
That is so funny. Yeah, for me, I really didn't start really doing stand-up on the road until Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because I don't know if you remember, but when I called you to have you help me for that audition for Last Comic Standing, I had not done stand-up in 7 years.
Damn.
And then I started to do it, and then I started working on Chelsea, and Chelsea's like, oh, hey, want to open for me and do about 20? And at that point, I only had 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, yes.
That's good.
And so then I started opening for her. Then I was well enough known that then someone's like, okay, you ready to do headlining? Can you do 45? And at that time, I probably had 30, and I was like, yes,
Right.
I can. Always say yes, people,
Yeah.
and you'll figure it out. But and so now, I really try to only go out 2 months a weekend, 2 weekends a month.
2 weekends a month.
But then sometimes something pops up and you're like, okay, now I don't want to say no, because
Right.
I do have that Joan Rivers mentality where I'm like, they may never ask you again. This could be the end,
Mm-hmm.
But then Peter says I just get real bitchy. If it's 3 weekends in a row, get ready, because I am just gonna be like,
it's like a second period for the month.
oh my God, it just hits where I'm just tired, the resentment, But the shows are always pretty great,
Right.
but just some
Nice,
towns are just more enjoyable to go to than
Right.
others,
Let's just face it, folks.
I mean, I'm sorry, and
Yeah.
then sometimes someone just wrote on my Patreon like, why do you say that you'll never go to Kansas City? And I go, I'm just saying,
Hey.
I haven't gotten an offer there,
Mm-hmm.
and if you live in Kansas City, look at my schedule and just go to the next closest city, because
Right.
I really don't know that I'll go to Kansas City, just because I got to go to a place. I look at where people are listening to me, and it's New York, Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Houston, Dallas, San Francisco, San Diego. Those
are great places to go.
So yeah, and I'm still going to other places,
Right.
but I gotta follow that, because
Right.
I don't want to. Because when I've gone to a smaller market, it's hard.
Yeah, nobody comes out.
Yeah.
The town is not as fun. Hey, if it's cheap to live in your town, all right. you know what the deal is.
It's just it's hard.
Yeah.
It's we gotta fill the space,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that everybody watches your special.
Oh yeah.
See it on Comedy Central. He's pretty good looking still.
Still got it.
You still got it.
Mm-hmm.
So are you currently single?
Too bad. I just found out I had it.
Are you still single?
Yeah, I'm single. Yeah.
Single, ready to mingle, still straight.
Still straight.
No kids.
I'm not homogenous.
Would you ever want to have a kid? Possibly.
This is what I said the other day.
Because think about the new material you could get from it.
True. But a lot of people do kids materials too, so I don't want to.
You feel that's saturated.
That's covered.
Well, I feel like, oh my God, every other female comic now has done a stand-up special pregnant.
Right.
So I'm like, what should my next special be called? Not pregnant? A
Not
mom but not
pregnant,
pregnant?
That's funny.
The mom with older kids?
Yeah.
Still married?
Grown ass mom.
Yeah, grown ass mom, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so, but you're down possibly? No.
To what?
Having a kid or no?
No, I want to help kids, right?
I like that you know that too.
Right.
I think that's fine
cool.
that you know that's not for you.
So most people try to make you feel bad about it, so I'm glad. I want to
I
help
don't make
kids.
anyone feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I think that's what's great about today. You don't have to get married. You don't have to keep kids. Make your family the way you want to make your family.
Mm-hmm.
I've said this before. Someone's like, I have people go, I don't know if I want to have kids, and they ask me, what do you think? And I'm like, well, if you have one, you'll never regret it. But
Right.
if you don't, you will also avoid the worst heartache in life that you can have,
Right,
which is
right.
a parent's heartache. That's
Right.
worse than anything. So if you never even have that in your life,
Mhm.
you will skip over.
Right, right.
There's no possibility. Like I said, when my kid goes to school, don't vape, don't get shot. That's
Mhm.
when you hear there's a school shooting, you're immediately like, is it my school? Like, it's something that, if you don't have, you'll probably look a lot younger and you'll probably have a lot more money. But if you do,
But
then
you know, you got
if you do
somebody
have
to take
kids
care of
and
you when
you
you're
love
older.
it, please.
But
Do you
there's,
see how we
no
take care of our
guarantee.
old?
Yeah, there's no guarantee.
No, there's no guarantee.
Yeah.
No, if you're a parent with kids, save your money and make sure
The
you have
Asian one,
retirement.
right? Because it's instilled in certain Asian cultures that you have to take care of.
True. My Asian daughter
Yeah,
might.
it's an Asian daughter.
My Asian daughter might. Yeah. Oh, speaking of when you're talking about how they wear their mom jeans and they're not wearing cute stuff, Mackenzie has such a cute body. Okay, tiny waist, little curvy, and so I'm just like, I try to slut her up, and she's just like, I'm like, what are you doing wearing a one piece? What the hell? Put on a bikini. Like, look at this body. You're not gonna have this body forever. Like, so I can like push her. You're shopping, and I'm like, really with these cropped mom jeans? But I let her have a few uglies, and then I'm like, just put on this one skin tight dress. Just let me show you the way, my child, because you're gonna look back and you're gonna know, why didn't I show off that bod more?
Why did I nerd it up like this?
Yeah, stop nerding it up. Slut it up.
Slut it up.
Slut it up. Thank you, Ian.
My
Everyone
pleasure.
follow Ian. You're Ian Edwards, right? On
Yeah.
Instagram.
At Ian Edwards Comic, on Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you have a bunch of dates coming up?
Yeah, I'm gonna be in Ohio this month. I think the 18th or something like that.
Where?
The weekend at the Funny Bone.
Okay, cool.
And I think the weekend after that, I'm in Connecticut. What's the name of that place? I forgot. I'll put it on my
He's
website.
a great marketer of himself.
Yes.
Just go and
Yeah.
Go to his website
Go to
because
my
he's
website.
coming around.
Don't go. Yeah.
And
I'll
you'll
put it
love
up.
it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.